Hey, familia, welcome to your healthy dose of spice. Today is what is metabolic syndrome? Do you have it? What is it? We're going to break it all down in today's live video. So if you're joining, please leave us a comment. I'd love to give you a shout out and say hello to you. But if not, you can always catch the replay and leave me a hashtag replay so I know that you're watching and that you enjoy the content. And as always open for comments, questions, suggestions regarding anything that I talk about. So metabolic syndrome. I'm going to try not to make today too long of a video because I could talk on and on about this, but metabolic syndrome, do you have it? What do you need to know about it? So metabolic syndrome is really a cluster of conditions, right, that occur together. And these cluster of conditions really increase your risk for heart disease, for stroke, and for type 2 diabetes. So things like high blood pressure, things like high blood sugar, having excess body fat around your waist, having some rolls, having a big belly, those all increase your risk factor and are some of the symptoms included under this umbrella. Also having abnormal cholesterol or triglyceride levels. How would you even know if you had that? Well, you need to have some basic lab work done by your healthcare provider to know if any of those are out of whack. And you're not really going to know about your blood sugar unless you're checking your blood sugar for a particular reason. But actually, most of the signs or symptoms, like would you say, how would I know if I have any of these? So some of the signs or symptoms you might notice, they aren't super obvious, but you want to look out for like that big belly, right? Having rolls, having a bigger stomach, having fat right around your midsection is one big clue, okay? If your blood sugar is high, and like I said, you're not going to notice if your blood sugar is high unless you're checking it for a specific reason, like you're type 2 diabetic already, or if you went and got labs drawn and it's like, hey, my blood sugar is high. You might not notice it really if you don't do any of that until it's really progressed to diabetes, where you're going to notice the increased thirst, the increased urination, fatigue, blurred vision. Those are all signs, symptoms of diabetes, actually, type 2 diabetes. So what causes metabolic syndrome? What's the cause of it? The cause is really lifestyle based. It is really linked to being overweight and inactivity, food. Those are all the things, the lifestyle things that impact it. There's also something called insulin resistance. And this is one of the things that I teach so much about is insulin resistance. So what's up with insulin resistance? Normally your digestive system really breaks down all the foods that you eat into carbohydrates, into sugar. And insulin is a hormone made by your pancreas, and that helps sugar to enter your cells in your body to help you live, to help things function. And people with insulin resistance, the cells don't respond normally how they should to this insulin, and glucose can't get into the cells for it to be used. So what you end up with is a bunch of glucose, is a bunch of sugar in your blood and a bunch of insulin in your blood. And your body keeps just trying to produce more and more insulin, and it's not responding anymore. You're becoming resistant to this insulin. So having the high levels of sugar in your blood and the high levels of insulin, those all lead directly to weight gain. That's all that it does. When you give somebody insulin, they increase their weight. That's what happens. It turns into, your body stores it and it turns into fat. So what are some risk factors for this? Some risk factors are your age. Your age, as you get older, and most of the women that I talk to and that I really connect with are women who are 35 and up, who are having a lot of physical changes, that their bodies are changing in ways that they don't really understand. And, things are happening, and what used to work for them back in the day don't really work no more, because our bodies are changing. Our bodies are doing different things. So your risk for metabolic syndrome increases with age. Your ethnicity, and this is why I am so passionate about ending generational cycles of chronic diseases like high blood pressure, like diabetes, especially in minority women, because Hispanic women have one of the greatest risk factors for developing metabolic syndrome, simply because of our race, our ethnicity. Obesity, carrying too much weight, especially around your abdomen, it puts you at increased risk for metabolic syndrome. Diabetes, if you've had gestational diabetes, so diabetes while you were pregnant, that also puts you at higher risk. Some other diseases, fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver, that's a huge one. So if you go get your labs drawn and your liver enzymes are all out of whack, so like your ALT, your AST, those are all liver enzymes they'll look for. If those are all elevated and you're not an alcoholic, it is because your liver is damaged from too much insulin, too much weight. I see my little wheel spinning, but hopefully my voice was still coming through. So what are some complications? Now that we know the risk factors and all the other things, what are some complications that can come from metabolic syndrome? They really increase your risk for developing type 2 diabetes, right? That high blood sugar, that insulin resistance is going to turn into type 2 diabetes. So if you don't start making lifestyle changes to control your excess weight, you are really going to be at a higher risk for developing that insulin resistance, and that's going to turn into type 2 diabetes. Heart and blood vessel disease, so hardening of the arteries, hardening of the veins, that's going to restrict blood flow to your organs, causes all sorts of other trouble down the road, puts you at higher risk for heart attack, for stroke, to develop clots. The amputations, shortness of breath, decreased brain function, all of that happens when your arteries and veins are not carrying blood appropriately. High cholesterol, high blood pressure builds up, plaque, heart attack, stroke. Again, those are all the huge ones. And so really prevention is the best medicine for this, for metabolic syndrome. It's the best thing that you can do to help stop it and to help reverse it. So you want to look at lifestyle modifications and therapies like food, your activity levels. You want to look at intermittent fasting, ways to increase your insulin sensitivity naturally, losing weight, weight reduction. You want to find long-term solutions that are going to be healthy and sustainable for you. That really is the key when it comes to metabolic syndrome. So that's just a little bit about what metabolic syndrome is. And in the days coming up, we're going to get more into what some of the other things about metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance, and some of the other things like high blood pressure and PCOS. But those are all coming soon. So let me know what comments, questions, suggestions you have based on today's video. I try not to make it too long because I could go on and on, like I said, about all of this. So definitely preventable, modifiable, looking at lifestyle changes, but they have to be things that you're going to be able to stick with for the long term, okay? So leave me a heart, leave me an emoji if you enjoyed today's video, and definitely like and share, please, so this information other people can benefit from it as well. So like I always say, for a balanced life, just add spice. I'll talk to you later.